us. We're back. We are back. We're back. Rise Up in Real Estate here for season 7. Vince, Ashley, Lawton, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Glad you guys are here. We are live on lots of social media channels this year. We are on YouTube. We've got 5 viewers. I mean, we are killing it so far. We're killing it. But welcome back to the show. Season 7. So as statistics go, I'm pretty proud to say only like 4% of podcasts make it past 5 episodes. We're at 100 and something and into season 7. Congratulations to the 4 of us, right? We have made it thus far. How are y'all doing today? Say hello to make sure your cameras and microphones are all working.
Hello, hello. Hey, Tracy, I see you in the comments already.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning, Ashley. Ashley, tell me what's behind you in that. Something on that shelf has a little red ball on top of it. What is that? If I don't know that, I'm going to be wondering the whole show.
Well, I don't know because I just commandeered an office that nobody was here today. So, Stephen Hand, if you're watching, thanks for the office space for the next hour. You don't even know that I'm in here. Let me find out for you.
Thanks for lending a hand today.
I think it's one of those games where like it's on a string and you throw it up and catch it. I mean, if things get slow, I can definitely pull it out today for the podcast tab and see how many points I can get.
I was going to say that when things get like start dragging a little bit, I want you to pull that thing out and play. Tracy, hello. We're glad that you're here. Tracy's our faithful first viewer to comment. You guys are welcome to comment on here. It's live. If you're on a platform that allows you to do that, when you make a comment, it'll pop up on my screen, and if I like it, I'll share it. If I don't, I'll censor you. So good luck. So good luck. So let's talk a little bit. Season 7, Rise Up in Real Estate. Why do we do this? Lawton, did you check? Is your microphone working?
I think so. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. You did a little bit of freeze frame just then, but that's okay. I saw you walking around like right before, and I was like, "What's he doing? Where's he going?" Like right when I hit the timer, you decided to do that. So
yeah, I had to plug in my AirPods.
I gotcha. So Rise Up in Real Estate started as an idea that we had years ago to just kind of talk about what's going on with the community. It has morphed into. It's called Rise Up in Real Estate, but we basically just take a different topic every season, and it's seasonal because I have a lot of kids and they're in school. Lawton's not still in school, but some of them are, and it's just easier for everyone, I think, if we do it like September to December, and then we take the Christmas holiday off, and then we go January to June, and we take the summer off. So this is the 7th season we've done. We've done everything from – we've had a lot of guests on here. We've talked to a lot of people. We've had people laugh, cry. Vince was kind enough to help me host the last couple of seasons, which I've been happy. And Ashley commandeered an episode, so she's very gifted at this, and now she's back on. But this season, we'll talk about that in a moment, like where we're headed. But I'm glad that you guys are here. Glad that you're tuning in. This will also be turned into our podcast, which plays on all the podcast channels a week from today. You'll see this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and stuff. So what's been going on? Let's check in with everybody on the screen here, and let's start with Vince. Vince, I think it's the elephant in the room that's not an elephant anymore.
Sure.
Is that you're no longer with RE/MAX with us. I want you to tell our listeners kind of what you're doing now and what this new phase before you come back to us and finish your career. What are you doing for the time being in the middle?
It's a good plug there. I like it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sure. So, hey, everybody. Those of you who are watching this now and later and I've watched over the past few seasons, obviously a big brand fan of RE/MAX, specifically RE/MAX Southern Shores. I'm actually no longer in the general brokerage real estate sales world. If I were, I would absolutely be at RE/MAX Southern Shores doing what I love to do. I am over with a builder now, so I'm at Meritage Homes. So what that means for you, if you need a contact, Tad gave me a shameless plug here, but if you're looking for a new construction product for your buyer, that just upticks the quality a bit more than kind of some of the stuff that's being slapped up around town in and out of here. That's what we do at Meritage Homes. So anything you've heard about certain builders that may be cheap quality and things like that, that's not going to be the builder I'm at. And it's not just something I'm saying. You can come out, see it, feel it, touch it. It's all there, right? So if you're looking for a high quality new construction build, give me a ring. We have a couple neighborhoods. We're closing out one in Carolina Forest for those of you that are local. We've got some upcoming stuff in North Carolina, South Carolina, really great access in Waterside, right off of Water Tower Road and 31. And then Highway 9, Cypress Ridge, a couple hundred houses going there. So give me a ring.
Awesome. It's interesting to me, Lawton, if you're looking for a new home counselor to be an affiliate with, there's one right there on the screen for you. So
Here we go.
Vince has been transparent with us all along in this transition, and they're lucky to have him. Vince, talk to me a little bit about like the product. You said where it is. How important are realtors to your business? Like, how much of the time is people just walking in without one, and how much do you want us to drag them into you?
Yeah. So realtors are incredibly important to this process because, I mean, I would prefer that an agent show up with a buyer, right? For representation wise, it's nice to have a buyer, that feels like they have representation and protection there. And it's nice to just generate the relationships with the realtors, knowing we have a good product, and continue that relationship so we can sell more homes together and get more of your buyers into our homes, right? So there's any myth you've heard, Meritage at least, there's no difference on my end if there's an agent or not. I'm not asking them to call me without a realtor so I get paid more. None of that exists. The deal doesn't get better or worse either way. It's just nice to have inventory like I have, and you guys have clients, right? So the more we work together, realtor to realtor, because I'm still a licensed active realtor. That's just the best way to go about it. And it's the process is pretty smooth. It's good stuff.
So you were telling me in your young career there, you've had some sales, and you were saying about 80% of them have been realtor related, or maybe all of them have been realtor related. So that's pretty cool. Ashley, you taught I'm going to check in with you. You were teaching a class recently on this whole concept, weren't you, about how an agent can leverage? Oh, by the way, I should say, those of you that are watching, like Tracy did, tell us who's here and where you're coming in from. We're in coastal South Carolina, by the way. I should have said that in the beginning. I got excited like we hadn't done this in a minute. So coastal South Carolina, and you can ask questions. Like Tracy could ask Vince a question if she wants to. It comes up on my screen, and I'll deliver that. So Ashley, tell us what you've been up to, and then also tell us about that class that you taught about agents with new agent counselors. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So I have actually been in the seat that we normally are assisting people with. So I sold my own house here recently. So I got to see things from a little different perspective. That's always a good idea to do from time to time. Whether you're an active agent, I'm non-competing, but I still help all of our agents that are out there working with buyers and sellers. So it was eye-opening to actually be the client and go through that process and get my house sold during a time when it was very uncertain as to how long I'd be on market and what the timing was going to look like and what I was going to have to do to get traffic through the door. And I always share that I feel like I was so fortunate because I have a unique seat in this company where I interact with agents across 8 different markets. And I took all their best tips and used them to put in play to be able to help with my own sale. So got that done. Moved during the heat wave on the hottest weekend in July, 110 heat index. So I'm as surprised as all of you that I actually survived and I'm sitting here with you today. It was a miserable weekend. Do not plan to move for July. That would be my tip for all of you. If you're in coastal South Carolina, some parts of the country, that might be the perfect time to move. And then yesterday, I got to speak with maybe 10 or 12 agents that are new to the business. And Tad was able to sit in during that session and go over the importance of building relationships as a new agent with on-site agents. And that's a great way to go boots on the ground if you're a new agent and figure out dollar productive activities to fill your day when you're first starting a business. And build relationships with on-site agents, gather marketing material to show your community on social media that you're a new construction expert. It's just endless possibilities. Think outside the box for what new construction can do for your business as an agent. And I loved that we had so many agents engaging with that content and asking questions, and now hopefully implementing.
Yeah, I was in the room and they were all listening and taking notes, but I wonder what they're doing today with that information that they heard yesterday. That's the secret, is doing it. Speaking of someone who has done it, and congratulations, Ashley. I think just telling your story about how you sold your home. In our marketplace, there aren't a lot of multiple offer situations currently, but you experienced one because of the way that you positioned your home and the things that you've been teaching everybody to do for for years you did yourself. So that was pretty exciting, and it was fun to watch.
Thanks. I just listened to what all of our best people were doing, and then I did all of them. So everybody had one or two. I just took one or two from everybody, and that seemed to do the trick.
Would you have like 5 offers in 12 hours or something?
I mean, or 8.
8 offers?
Like yeah.
Good. Pretty darn good.
Some of our listeners are in a place where they're still having multiple offers, but in our market, that's not a common thing anymore. And here's a guy on the screen today that is, and the reason Lawton is here, we have the same last name, but it's because he's been in the business about a year, and I wanted to get some ideas of what that year's been like. But Lawton, talk a little bit about what you've been up to outside of real estate, and then let's jump in on piggyback on what Ashley said. It parlays nicely because you've done a little bit about what she said. So what's been going on with you? Newlywed?
Yeah, outside of real estate, I think I was on the show once. Since then, got married, got a dog, got a house, all really close to each other. The dog was probably too close to the wedding. That probably should have been pushed back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we bought a new construction, so got to kind of see that. I think every realtor should see that side of it, being the buyer. It kind of changed your perspective on some things. But then, yeah, along with the new construction, I got that idea from Ashley a long time ago. You brought it up a shorter time ago, but it teaches you so much about the area that you don't see by just looking on the MLS. And they're usually the best looking houses because they're staged, and you can get really good social media content there. And then when you have a buyer that's looking at a certain builder, it's really nice to already have somebody to call and not have to ask for it. But yeah, lots been going on. I think real estate's been really successful this year. Haven't been in it super long. The longest, the whole time I've been in it, every buyer's been waiting on something, whether it was the president or the election or interest rates, and everybody's still waiting. So I think I've realized that that's kind of how always people are, is they're waiting on something. But I've really enjoyed it so far. And yeah, that's kind of what's been going on since I was last on here. Just kind of to sum it up a little bit.
It's kind of a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's very perceptive. Vince, I should ask you before you got really short hair? Did you go high and tight?
He went a little high and tight with it.
I didn't know if it was like your filter or what, but man, you can go right back to you want to go back to the Air Force, you could do it.
Yeah, it looks pretty military today, so I'm going to let this grow out a bit and see where we're at. But I've been using a new anti-balding shampoo for this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Trip, my 8-year-old says it's working, Dad. Says it's working. Don't worry about it, man.
It's because he can't see the top of your head, Vince. He's short so far.
Yeah, I took it a little shorter today. Keeping it tight for the podcast.
So I went to I was in our Charleston office, Somerville office yesterday, and I've kind of, I'm in transition. I don't know what I'm doing, and a couple of people in the office, agents, put their arms around me and were like, "You need a place to stay tonight." Like they thought I was kind of a little bit homeless. I said, "No, I see Christy tomorrow, and she's got a plan, so I'm gonna let her do her thing, but I can't." She said, "Don't shave or touch it at all until you get back here." So I'm looking rough. Not that anybody cares. And those of you that are listening to this as a podcast, congratulations to you, because you don't have the video part of it. So sorry. You said something pretty cool, Lawton, when you were talking just now about people waiting. Is that a common theme? Are people always waiting? Let's talk about that for a minute. And what can we do to talk to them about that? If that's an objection or whatever. Vince, do you hear that in your seat? Ashley, do you hear that when you're teaching? By the way, Ashley's director of agent development at RE/MAX. She does all of our development, building people. Our mission is to empower people to build a business they need to live the life they want to live. And Ashley is the crux of that. So talk to me about waiting, guys. What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? What's your take on it?
Ashley, go ahead.
All right, I will kick it off.
So appropriate that you all waited.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for somebody else to answer. That's what I'm waiting on. Yeah, I think Lawton kind of said it best. There's always people's unique stories mean that they have something that's important to them, and sometimes that means that it's time for them to start gathering information, but they're not ready to pull the trigger. And all of those things that Lawton mentioned are definitely reasons that people sometimes are sitting just a little bit. I think lately interest rates are that driving factor. There keeps being these like teas in the news that we're going to see some relief, and we actually have just now started to see some relief in those interest rates. And I think that that's going to bring a lot of people back into the market and say now is the right time. I think that some agents have had a difficult year. It's amazing to hear that Lawton, new to the industry, has had an incredibly successful year. And we're, so happy and so proud of everything that he's been able to do. I think that Lawton is also very smart to pay attention to creative solutions. So when people have something that they need to wait on, I think he's able to say, well, let's just look at it this way and see if there's a creative solution that means that you don't have to wait to accomplish your goals, because there can be ways that it now makes sense, even if the rate isn't back down to a 4%. So either showing them the equity that they're earning in that house during that time that they're waiting and what they're missing out on acquiring and building wealth, or showing them that sometimes saying goodbye to their 3% interest rate and taking the equity out of the home that has already appreciated to pay off 20% interest rate credit card debt actually is still a win, even if your new mortgage ends up at a 6%. So there's wins for people if you can be that creative solution provider. But absolutely, Lawton said it best. Everybody has something that's important to them that gets them to I'm a very analytical person. So that's how I imagine all people. It's hard to imagine another way. People that move fast, that makes me nervous. I need to analyze. I need to gather all the information. I need to try to know what's coming around the corner. And once I have all that answered, then I can move forward on something. So I think that Lawton has probably been that resource for his people, which is why this year has continued to move along.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, that's so good, Ashley. I think waiting, and I'm not referencing this as not thinking things through, but I think waiting in real estate as a buyer on the buy side is probably going to cost you one way or the other. It's going to cost you in the appreciation you're going to eventually have to pay. It's going to cost you you might lose the house, right? Especially in the new con world. I can show you something on a Monday. It's gone on a Tuesday. Or it's gonna cost you in the rent you may be paying before you buy, right? So Lawton's, like you said, he's great at kind of creating those solutions. Also, if you're waiting to the point where you're not even looking, even though you desire a change in your life, so Gary Vee, right? If you want to change your life, change your life. So don't wait. So if you're actually ready and able to buy, potentially not willing, and you're not even looking because of that, and you say interest rates are your thing, well, it may not even be advertised, but I have 6 homes right now on a 2-1 buy down at 2.99, 3.99, 4.99 interest. So what are you waiting on? So you not even searching caused you to miss out on the interest rates you were already waiting on that the builders have gotten creative on and the building lenders have gotten creative on. I can't think of a new builder right now that doesn't have a rate promotion, right? So yeah, just being open-minded to actually being willing and get past your waiting helps a ton. On the agent side, if we know people are waiting, that tells me I have to prospect more right now. Why are realtors waiting to prospect for business? Just because buyers may be waiting and sellers may be waiting. Because when they're done waiting, it's too late. That's not when you start getting their business. You start getting their business while they're in waiting, right? So if you can convert a few to active, that's great. If not, you're their guy when they're done waiting. You got to become their guy or gal. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what you guys said makes total sense. Lawton, or the agent, is, because you're the only active agent on the screen, the agent is you're the agent of change. What you have to do is figure out when somebody says I'm waiting, well, what are you waiting on? Or if you sense it, why are you waiting? Why is the rate? I think we don't ask why enough. Ashley's excellent at it. She went immediately to it in her answer. Like, people do things for reasons. They wait for a reason. Some of them are justified. Some of them are not. But if you're not in relationship or having the conversations with them, you will never know that. And you have to earn their trust in order to talk them through it. That's what Vince's challenge is now when he has a brand new person come in the door that he's never talked to before as a buyer. He has to earn their trust right away And luckily, he's got advocates that are bringing them in the door that already trust him, and they are going to buy into Vince because of it. But you have to have that trust in order for someone to say, you know what, Lawton, what you're saying. And Lawton has the ability to make people trust him. I don't know how. I mean, he's young, but when he sits down with someone, they just trust him. If you're in that relationship and they trust you, then you can talk them through the waiting. And then you can give them what Vince just gave them, a very good explanation. But if you're not their counselor, you wouldn't even know to take them to that neighborhood and let Vince do that work for you or whomever you take them to. So the bottom line is, I think you find out why they're waiting. And I think we're scared. I mean, I don't know what y'all think, but I think a lot of agents, and I was this way, I wasn't sure I could get past the objection. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that aren't going to have objections. So when someone does, I just kind of let it go away instead of facing it head on and saying, okay, let's work through this together. But if you got their best interest at heart and you want to get them where they want to go, they say they want to go, then you'll ask those questions. What do you, Lawton, how do you handle that, the interest rate? I mean, you certainly don't just say, you're crazy for waiting. Like, what do we do?
No, I mean, I think
maybe you do say that. I shouldn't assume.
No,
you
I
don't
don't.
say
I
you're
don't.
crazy.
No, I don't say that. I think it a lot of times, but I think that I think we're supposed to be experts at what we're doing, and we have a lot of information that we can give to someone. So it's not always blatantly telling someone that they're incorrect, but maybe reframing. Kind of like Ashley was talking about, like you have to get to the bottom of things that, well, if you're waiting on the presidential election, that never really changes it as much as people think it does. If you look at history, or rates are, I mean, we can use the argument of they're historically low, but it doesn't feel low to people right now, but showing them how COVID wasn't real. I mean, we hope I hope interest rates don't get like that again, because that would mean that COVID is here again. So I think a lot of times changing perspectives like that is important. And, yeah, kind of, I mean, I agree a lot with what Ashley said. Like, you have to reframe things to put it in the mind of making them feel good about things, and explaining how maybe what they think is not the whole picture, that maybe there's a benefit to it. But there's no, I mean, I think buyers a lot of times are looking for the perfect time to buy the perfect house. And I don't think either of those things exist. I don't think that anyone has a forever home on earth, in my opinion. I think that they can say it is, but you're probably going to move in 5 to 7 years. And then I think if you're waiting for the perfect time, you're not going to find it. Something's going to be wrong. So you have to kind of, those are the things I weigh out, trying to figure out what maybe is holding them back from thinking it's the perfect time, and seeing how I can reframe that in a way that they might be more.
So, shame on the world. How old are you, Lawton?
23.
Shame on, and I remember that, but I was just asking for. Ashley laughed like you.
I did.
No, you don't.
I did interview somebody the other day, and I asked them how
Decade
old they
apart.
were, and they said, I asked them how old they were at the interview table. Vince, you'll appreciate this, and in the recruiting room, and he said, I think I'm 27. And I said, well, have a nice day. Like, I'm out of here. But so shame on the world for saying that someone that's 23 doesn't have anything to offer and doesn't know how to think through analytically and rationally high level stuff. Because what you just talked about is not, I mean, that's high level. That is, your generation's not supposed to understand and be able to do that according to what the world says about you. So good for you that you are having those conversations with people that are, your parents' age or older, and helping them see that. I think that's, and do you ever take the opportunity, Lawton, like when you face something? I know you're pretty involved with Instagram and social media. Do you ever take the opportunity when you hear an objection, not to say it to them, but to immediately go make a reel about it so that maybe they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, so it's almost like third party in a way. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, conversations that I have with clients or customers lead to a lot of content ideas. And a lot of them don't get put out because my mind makes fun of people more than it should. And that's sometimes my reels come out, so they don't make it to public content. But yes, there's definitely a lot of, when you hear those objections, those are things that buyers are asking. And if you post content about it, buyers are going to see it. and maybe they never reach out to you, but like if I can provide information to one person, maybe they reach out, maybe they don't, but I'm at least helping someone have that information.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm loving Lawton's thoughts on there is no perfect house, there's no perfect time, there's no perfect price point, right? Life's what happens when you're busy planning, yeah. So a lot of buyers are planning on that perfection. I built a custom house and lived in it for a week and said, man, I wish I would have done this different, right? So you're right, man. That's the service that the customers and clients deserve. Those conversations. And agents don't often have those conversations because they're scared they're going to lose the buyer. But that's really well done. That's good work, man.
And if
there's
go ahead, Ashley. Go.
I just was going to say, talking about being scared to ask the questions, I would just encourage agents to remember to just stay curious about people. That's all this is. And people like to share about themselves. They want to be heard. So don't be afraid to ask the questions, because they do want to start opening up and they want to start knowing that there's someone that's going to hear them and maybe have some solutions or help them think in a new direction to be able to accomplish something that's really important. So don't be scared that they're going to open up and share those thoughts with you. You'll end up in a better scenario with that buyer, even if that scenario is 12 months down the road, by just staying curious. People like to talk about themselves, so lean on that.
That's awesome. I had an agent a few days ago tell me that, and she just said it very nonchalantly, which I respected and appreciated. She said, I had 2 buyers this week that decided to rent instead of buy for the next year because they're just not ready. And she said it. She goes, and I'll be here in a year when they're ready. Like it was such an abundance mindset, like no scarcity at all. Like she was totally 100% focused on what was best for them, not what was best for her. And I think that's a lesson we could all learn. It doesn't come easily, especially in the beginning of your career. This abundance mindset, like letting someone go, because there is some skill. Vince is learning this now in his new job. Like there are closing skills, but that always butts up against, like if you're a good closer, like I'm a very good closer. Ashley admits she's not a very good closer, which I disagree with because she always is talking about the right things. But if you're a good closer, at some point you don't pay attention to what the client needs because you want that close. That's just your nature. But if you take a minute, curiosity is an amazing word. That means that you are willing to really discover what another human being is looking for. And we all have done it in dating, or when we find somebody really fascinating that we've met and we want to learn about. Like if I promise you, if I was able to put Scotty Scheffler in Vince's living room with him, Vince would ask 700 questions.
Oh, yeah, it'd be on.
After he, and Scotty Scheffler is a great golfer, Ashley, #1 golfer in the world right now. For those of you that don't care. But Vince wouldn't have to pretend to be interested in that guy because he is interested in that guy. And he would want to know, I mean, all the things like how are you so calm? How do you have such a strong family and you're best in the world? Like, how do you always win coming from behind? He would ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
But when we meet somebody that might pay a commission to us, I said meet. It sounded like I said eat. We're not eating people here. When we meet somebody that might pay a commission to us, sometimes we focus on ourselves or what we've been through or our past experiences, and all those things are okay. But pretend you've just met someone famous and get to know that person. Find out like what hat they have on or what shirt they're wearing or what accent they have or what car they drive or how many times have they bought homes in the past and what was the interest rate of the last home that you bought. All those things are curiosity questions. And I think the more personal it is, the better.
If you're showing someone a house and you don't know why they're moving, we're already kind of, swimming upstream here. So your first question isn't, hey, what kind of house do you want? It's, where are you coming from and why? Why the move? If it's a local move, you can find out a whole lot about what they don't like about their current home because they like the town. They're staying in the town. If it's an out-of-state move, which is super common for us, we're highlighting that beach access, right? Like you got to know that's important to them, or their cousins and aunts live nearby. So we're highlighting neighborhoods that are going to keep you close to your family. That's a lot better than feature dumping the granite countertops.
And believe it or not, like I met a guy recently, interviewing him as an agent, but he's at the beach here. He lives in Florence. He's at the beach, and I said, "Have y'all?" He's staying on the beach. Like I said, "Have y'all enjoyed your time at the beach?" Just assuming it would be yes. He goes, "I hate sand." I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute." Well, it turns out he was a soldier in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He never wants to see sand again, ever. But I'm just assuming everybody likes the beach. This dude doesn't care about the beach. He was staying oceanfront, never walked out onto it. So curiosity is important. There are stereotypes and there are generalities that people love the blue ocean, but don't be assuming that they're going to love it like the last person. It's all the curiosity is such an amazing word. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be better. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'd be better human beings in general if we were more curious and less, I don't know, selfish. I don't know what's the opposite of curious.
Yeah, maybe selfish.
I think so.
I hadn't taken the SAT in a long time, but I know that would be one of the questions. Like, what's the opposite of?
Yeah, and curiosity isn't a technique, a sales technique. Like, you should probably care about the person that wants you to help them with this process. You should probably care about doing the best job, and B, like genuinely wanting them to be happy. Like, we forgot that along the way. Some people at some point, like the commission, right? Like the commission's there. How about the chance to make someone like happy in their life? Cool.
Yeah, cool. Listen, look at this. I was literally going to say this, Tracy. So if you take the word curious, what is the opposite of that word is disinterested.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. So good. Like that is gold, really. And look at what was going on in the world right now. That's so much appropriate to what we're going through in general. I bet if you watch the news nowadays, you don't find a lot of curiosity.
I thought that was Tracy's
Feedback
take on the podcast so far. Moving along, guys.
Maybe it was, but it was very appropriate for my discussion. No, but thank you for sharing that word, Ashley. Maybe that'll be the title of Lawton's book is disinterested. No, curiosity. Sorry. Let's talk a little bit about, rates. Like we have somebody who's in the field every day talking to clients about it. We have somebody who's teaching about it, someone who's sitting on site who has total control of the rates in his own environment, kind of, or his bosses do. We've seen, like I pay attention, it seems like over the last 30 days, we've seen a pretty steady downtick. If I looked at I have my phone right here. I think the rate on my mortgage, the mortgage app that I go to, let me look at it real quickly, live time here. And by the way, this is September of 2025, because this will be out there forever. 6.13 is 30-year fixed. 6.13 is what my general look says to me this morning. Mortgage rates near 3-year lows is what the headline is on that app.
Yeah, VA's at 5.92. All right.
And so but let's talk about it. And today, the Fed meetings started today or something. Mm-hmm. Those of you that are connected, is that right?
I think 25 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right after this, when they get done watching the podcast, they're going to sit down and chat about that. The Fed is meeting. What do we think? What's going to happen? Let's pontificate. Let's be Brian Buffini for a minute and talk about the future. What's going to happen next?
I think that there's probably a lot of buildup in the market. I think our agents are already feeling that there has been so many people on the fence because they want a little relief in those rates to get their buying power where they want their buying power. And if you don't live and breathe real estate, those just might be catchphrases that don't make any sense to you. But a change in an interest rate can mean that one week you could afford a house that was $350,000, and if the rate comes down, you might the next week be able to afford a house that's $360,000 or $370,000, and that can mean a big difference in what you can get for your family. So there may be people that know I want to get to this number price point for the home that I want to look at, but I'm going to need the rate to come down in order to live in that comfortably. So they've been waiting for that, and there's going to be in my opinion, there's going to be a very small window where you can actually grab that and take advantage of it. And what will happen soon after we see the relief is that the competition for homes will then go up because there's going to be more demand. So you're going to have this tiny little window of that relief being able to get in there without the multiple offers that you're going to fight against until everybody catches up and they realize that they all want to be buying. And now you may end up in some more competition amongst other buyers putting in offers. So there's not going to be a perfect sweet spot, in my opinion. I think you need to look at what you want out of a house, out of your next home purchase, condo, piece of land. And when the numbers make sense for you, it's time to go. Because if you wait 2 more weeks or a month, more people are going to want that property. And now you can't get it, even though your monthly payment could have been lower. You still can't get the property. So I think just look at what you need and what is comfortable for you to afford. And then that's the time that you say go.
It's kind of a shocking thing to think that it's the lowest it's been in 3 years. Think about that. Not right now, like today, it's nearing a 3-year low. That is, Lawton was in college. He was a junior in college when that was a real thing, when the rates were this low before this. Actually, I love that perspective of a tiny window. Supply and demand says what? When demand increases, what does price do?
What's up?
Yeah, and if you want to look at what really affects a long-term affordability is price. The rate does drastically at extremes, but price over time is what really does it. Lawton, what are you experiencing, or Vince? What do you guys think about the rates? What are you hearing from real clients, Lawton? Anything yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the benefit of, like we've said, not being in it for super long. So what the rates are right now is incredibly different than what I've dealt with the whole time I've been working. I think what Ashley said is really important. Again, like, there's probably not the perfect time to buy a house. The perfect time is when you're able to make it work and it works for you. And I don't think the conversation is a whole lot different right now than it was, which is cool. And I think like Ashley said, it's a really good thing to throw out there to maybe if you have a cash buyer, like explaining, hey, it's getting ready to get more competitive. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Or to sellers, like, hey, this is what could be happening in the next 6 months, just to keep them, again, showing we're the experts and giving them hope about what's going to happen, because a lot of listings are sitting, unless you're Ashley, I guess. But, having that information is really important to how you can explain things. But really, it hasn't been. We have so many cash buyers that come to this area that a lot of who I talk to, that's the boat they fall into. But when they don't, I mean, again, it's not much different than when I started. It's just talking to them about what they need and what they can make work, and being honest with someone and telling them, hey, you're not going to be able to get that house for that monthly payment right now. It's just not going to happen. So we can either look at it again in 6 months, or we can reframe to what might be an option for you.
Yeah, I think Ashley said one thing as well. If the numbers work for you, buy the house, right? Create the life you want to live. If you had that buyer that when we were at 7.5%, who was refusing to buy the house because of the interest rate, maybe in some cases the payment genuinely was too high for them to afford. That's an exception. If they were waiting to buy the house because they just wanted the payment to be a little less, they could probably have made it work, and you were telling them to refinance later down the road and get the payment to where you want, if rates drop. Well, those people are now in the house they don't want, and the rates are dropping, and the house they wanted is gone. Right? So make sure that anybody that was in that boat, you've got your database, you're just reminding them that, hey, the house you wanted is no longer available, that we could have refinanced down to today's rate. This is a tough conversation, but I just want you fully ready to move forward if we find another one that you love, right? So let's not feel this way again. And who knows, even if you buy at 6, but I hear they're going to go down to 4 by the end of the year. That's great. And we'll refinance then, right? But if this works at 6%, or even if it close to works for you monthly, let's get you the house that you love, right? So having that conversation now, you now have some actual proof in the pudding to those people a year ago that wouldn't move.
Yeah, that's good. You said a couple of things that are important. Like do you have a database, listeners? Do you have the ability to sort your database according to a hashtag that says looking for rate or some way of keeping up with people? And maybe you're just a genius and it pops in your head when it needs to, or do you have something that you manage? I think that's a very good thing to look at. So the Fed, the predictions are 4%. I heard somebody say if it gets back down to where it was at COVID, the only thing that's going to do that is world war or another pandemic, and nobody wishes that, right? So, because who would? I mean, I wouldn't even loan my own money, maybe to Lawton, for less than 3, 4, 5%, right? So Lawton might get a little bit of a break, but I doubt it. But now I need to borrow money from him because he's very successful. So the rates aren't going there. But people also say that this Fed meeting, a lot of people were waiting for today. Like if the Fed cuts by 25 basis points, and then they do that again one more time by the end of the year, a lot of experts are saying what you've already seen in the drop in the rate is the movement. You're not going to see after the Fed meeting the rate go down 0.5%. Probably. It might continue to trickle down because I think the experts knew 2 months ago this is what the Fed is probably going to do in September. Now we're in September, but the rate has come down in just like the stock market is sometimes it's reactionary and sometimes it's predictive. I think that has been a little bit reactionary to what they thought was going to happen. So don't be an agent telling your clients, oh, after today, we could have big movement. That's probably not going to happen. But again, it comes back to why is this person buying? And I love the conversation, like just to let them self-discover. Like, right, Vince, that's what we talk about. Ashley, you talk about that a lot in class. Help them self-discover what will happen when all the people decide it's time to get back in the game again. The people that have been waiting, Jared James actually says there's an enormous amount of people between the age of 25 and 35 that live at home still and are waiting. He says in their parents' basement, but I think he's being dramatic. Living at home still, waiting to make the big move, and they're waiting on that rate. So how many of those do you want to compete with, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer or Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I mean, I don't know how does that affect sellers, you think? As I talk it out loud, does that make a seller wait, Ashley or Vince, knowing that a bunch of people are still waiting? Do they wait to put their property on the market? What's the story there?
I'll let somebody else take it first this time.
So if I'm a seller that's not on the market, I'm contemplating moving.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting because I know rates are high and I may not get the most for my home. If the buzz is big enough, I'm going to price slightly under what I think I need to, and I'm going to hope for multiples. Because you can always say no to an offer. You can say no to a full price offer. You can say no to an over ask offer. That's okay, right? So generate the traffic. Ashley had 8 offers, and I promise you she was priced properly. So if there's buzz about rates coming down, then there's also buzz about inflated prices. As a seller, I'm going to time that out and price right or 2% under right and let some people show up and look at my house.
Okay. Ashley, tell us the right answer.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
There's no right and wrong, right? Just different. But I don't disagree with any of that. I think that, that is a great point. I think it's important to have the conversation with that seller, when we are thinking about going on because you feel there's going to be a peak traffic when we then go through 30 days later to actually get to the closing table. You during that time are also now going to be competing with that buyer pool to purchase your next property. So you're still going to feel it on one side or the other if you're buying after you sell within the same market or within a market that is, pretty similar terms right now currently. So that's a consideration. Again, just like with buying a house, there might not be a perfect time to sell a house. We tend to know that during the year, spring is a good time to have houses on the market, but it doesn't mean waiting for spring. For some people, there's other important factors. Everybody's a unique story, and sometimes it's convenience. And so the people that are going to want to look at your house in November and December during the holidays are the people that are serious. So you don't have to get your house ready as many times for showings, because the people walking through the door are going to be only the serious people and not just the window shoppers. During the springtime, you'll end up with a lot of window shoppers and people that aren't necessarily serious. There's going to be different things that are important to different people. But I can see in a seller's shoes that they would like to know that they go on the market at a time where a lot of buyers are going to hop off the fence because interest rates are good and they're going to want to capitalize on that. They just have to realize that if they're buying, they're going to be now competing with that same pool that was there to compete for their house.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, you haven't talked to enough people. She says, remember, there's no sell high, buy low. You haven't talked to enough people from Long Island because they're convinced that they're going to do exactly that. No, I'm just kidding. That's perfect. Investors right now might be, they might be holding on. They might be waiting. But if you're a seller and a buyer, just be, buyer, seller, beware of what is around the corner. And I love how Ashley just can't help herself. And this is what I love about her is she can't help herself but keep at the forefront of her mind with every single answer what the client needs. They're unique, and that's so powerful, like the unique situation that everyone's in. I'm in my 25th year in real estate, and people say, do you, it's pretty much, you pretty much know it, don't you? And I'm like, nope, because let me tell you something. Every human being is different. Every want and need is different. Every single one. The four of us don't look at things the same way, even as good of friends as we are. Even everybody that's my age with my number of children, okay, there's no such thing. My age, they're not all looking at it the same way. Even if you went to the same school, you're raised by the same parents, you all have different. It's so unique. And Ashley just defaults to that. And I think that's probably why you're very good at what you do, is because, and you're a great friend, and you're, because you keep in mind, that's why you bring things over for my kids that I would never think of. Like, you're just such a good person. But as a salesperson, Vince, this is important, like, for you to hear, because you're in a new environment where it can get I worked on site for a lot of years. It can get very repetitive. It can get very robotic. You get a lot of pressure from people that want you to perform. It's easy to look past. I worked at an in-house table in timeshare. So I know what it means to look past what somebody really wants and needs. But in your shoes, man, if you can capture that in your environment, that's really special.
Yeah,
and
I've got to stay curious.
Tracy said, Ashley is really special.
You are special, Ashley. It's been curiosity the whole time, like Ashley brought to us. Repetitive is a great word, and I'm only, I don't know, month and a half deep in this new model. If I make the mindset shift of not just another spiel to give or whatever, but another person to meet and get to know and to know their story, which you taught me over the last several years, I just get to sit there and hear people's stories, right? And like, that's the way I have to think about this. If not, I get too salesy. I know I have that side in me, right? No one actually likes being closed on. And I don't actually like closing, like the act of doing that, right? Now, there are parts where if everything seems like this does make the most sense for the client, and this is, they may just need, like, not a push, but just a, hey, this is what you asked for. We should probably do this, like, that's okay. But yeah, knowing why they're doing it is really what keeps you coming back. And that's where you get your joy anyway, on the seller side, in the new construction world, at least, And then the other side is it's repetitive, but also the relationships with realtors, right? Like me knowing that I can tell Lawton every time I have a rate drop promotion, so he has a better chance at helping his buyers. Like, that's incredibly rewarding too, right? So I do a lot of the agent to agent stuff.
Yeah. Lawton, you have anything to add with that conversation at all?
Do you want to talk about how great I
that was
am?
good.
No, nothing. Okay.
I'm all right. I think we said everything great there is.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, thank you. Thank you for being our one commenter today. Everybody's so shy. It's ironic. I just feel like as we wrap up, it's ironic that I did want to mention what happened in the United States a week or so ago here for us with the like it's happened so many times in America, senseless assassination of someone that didn't deserve it with Charlie Kirk. It's ironic that we're talking about curiosity today. Had no idea that's where this conversation was going to go. You guys know I'm an improv guy, and we didn't have a script today. It's just the word of the day is curiosity. And I wanted to share just where my mind is, and I want to be very clear. This is my opinion. This is where I stand. This is my take. It has nothing to do with what Lawton feels, what Vince feels, what Ashley feels, even what my wife feels, what anybody at Remax Southern Shores Professionals Essential feels. It's just me. And I had chose several years ago to be a public voice for who we are. And sometimes I feel like I should say something. And so this is one of those times. But curiosity is such a perfect way for me to look at this. I heard somebody say, probably the thing I appreciated most that I heard over the last few weeks is I heard somebody on social media, and I thought, oh, Lord, here we go again with another vehement opinion on social media. But this person actually said, I'm on here because I want to let you know that I'm not going to make a statement. I'm going to be quiet for a while, and I'm going to wonder, I'm going to work on my perspective. And what I want to challenge everybody with is here. Bruce is on. I knew Bruce was on here. And Bruce says this is a dark moment, and I agree. I mean, all the school shootings and all of this, but I want to just challenge you guys with something. And I'm not smart. I'm average. I'm just a citizen. But I want everybody to take a minute that's listening to this and just imagine that your perspective is not the only one. That the way that you look at this and the way that you looked at this before it ever happened is not the only way to look at it. It's your opinion is just an opinion, your view, and the hardest part is the emotion is so high. And it has been in our country specifically for several years. It has been just emotional. And I could go through historical events like this one that have happened. In my opinion, and again, it's my opinion, does this have anything to do with politics? I mean, I guess because everything we talk about is political. I mean, every issue is political because it's been made that way. But in my opinion, this is a human issue. This is Mandy and I've talked about this. My wife and I have talked about this ad nauseum over the past few days. There is a small percentage of humanity that deserves to be killed for what they believe. Very small, and I'm talking people that like Hitler or serial killers or deranged people, mass in general. And this is my opinion. Let me be clear. Certainly, young children in a church service or in a school don't. Certainly, and I'm not making comparisons, but think about throughout history, leaders that have been shot and assassinated for what they believe or not. It's a human issue to me. But before you speak, before you rant, before you take a stand, remember there's other human beings out there that might even think differently. And listen, I have beliefs, and I'm not advocating be a weakling and be just like a willow blowing in the breeze and don't. But you know what? I would defend anyone if I knew that there was a shooter and I knew that he was going to shoot someone. My wife, somebody sitting beside me in church that I don't know, a child, somebody that views things differently politically than me, I would try to save that person. I feel like that's what humans do. That's the humanity that my mom and dad taught me. And I don't know, I mean, where do we go from here? Well, I've got a bumper sticker on my car that I put on my car that I had no idea what it would mean to me today when I put it on there. It says humankind be both. Why is that so hard? I had a very, very, very eye-opening, speaking of curiosity, conversation this morning before this show, and recognized about myself that I'm not curious enough. People super close to me, I don't even know how they feel or how much they're hurting or what they believe, because I haven't taken the time. Probably because I've been so close-minded and focused on what I believe that I haven't taken time to honestly look at what other people think. I don't know if you guys want to share anything from your perspective as your opinion. I'm open to that. I don't think that this isn't gospel. This isn't the truth. That's the whole point. It's about curiosity. It's about discovering who are we, who are we, and who are we interacting with. Do y'all want to say anything?
So I'll share, Todd, because I'm okay that letting people know that it was you and I that had that conversation today before we got on here, because Todd had kind of shared some of the topics for the day, and I was all on board with rates and how the market feels. And I picked up the phone and called him and said, I have heart palpitations that you want to talk about controversy in the news. Because I have different feelings on it than a lot of people around me. And I live somewhere where I have different views than a lot of people in this area. And Tad and I see some things differently, but some things very much the same. So I was the person Todd was speaking with this morning to say that this was an uncomfortable seat for me to be in. But I can agree that I would never want to see somebody harmed. I guess my opinion and my perspective is that I don't love giving this platform additional energy and attention. And I don't know if that comes out right, but that's kind of where I am.
Yeah. And I mean, this is such a perfect picture of what this is to me, Ashley, that, and I know you wouldn't want me to say this, but shame on me for not knowing this about you. One of my closest friends. Shame on me for not thinking about you in the last 8 or 9 days, only thinking about whatever I was thinking about. And I think this is the whole point. I absolutely think this is the whole point. It's a human thing. It's not political. And we can't get things done. We can't have relationships if we're not willing to collaborate and be kind about it, So, and my point too, like I'm gonna get rid of that "be kind." That's annoying to me. It's too big. The last thing I'll say, because I really haven't really said anything, because I hope you guys know this. This show is for me, not for anybody else. I hope you really believe that, because literally almost every episode I learn. And Mandy and Rennie often ask me, why in the world do you do that show? Well, it's because of this. This is a life lesson that I'll never forget, what I'm going through with this whole conversation. And I appreciate you guys tolerating me doing it. Everyone comes to, and there's only 4 of us on the screen. Everyone comes to their conclusions in life, their beliefs, this is just who I am and what I stand for, whether it's as dramatically as he was doing it or as quietly as Ashley's doing it. Like, everyone has a reason and a group of reasons, a life that have brought them to where we are today. There's only 4 of us. I promise you we don't all 4. Even Lawton and I, we don't look at every issue exactly the same. But you're there for a reason. There's a small percentage of people that don't think for themselves, and I'll throw those people out the window. Like, there are people that jump on the bandwagon, and there are people that just want to get rah, rah, rah. But a majority of people have thought out why they feel like they feel. And this is causing more people to do it, which I appreciate. But when you recognize that people have gotten, and that's exactly what the word curiosity means to me, when you realize that people have gotten to where they are because of certain things in their life, it doesn't give them an excuse, but it also it gives you the ability to look at them and say, what can I learn from this? Because I really love Ashley. And to know that she feels very differently than me I'm curious, like why, how, what, who has brought you where you are?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just totally convinced if we had more of that in the world, including from Tad, wouldn't we be better off? Isn't that how the conversation needs to go? Has anybody have I ever asked Ashley, how did you come to those conclusions? Nope. And I saw a lot of interactions with Charlie Kirk now, especially after. Did very many of those conversations go, hey, how did you come to that conclusion? What brought you here, Charlie? What brought you here? Person asking the question of Charlie. How did you get here? Tell me your story. We don't care about stories. We are politically minded. We don't care about stories. We should care more about stories. Doesn't mean we accept them all. Doesn't mean we put them all on a pedestal or say, hey, this deserves to get whatever. But do you guys hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Does this make any sense at all, or is it just me learning today?
No, I think it does. And I think maybe one of the first times I actually had a conversation on Monday this week with somebody that is a wonderful, wonderful friend. And I know their heart and I appreciate who they are. And we, again, think very differently. And to your point, Tad, it's important to have the conversations, which I was so happy to do. And we didn't talk at each other. We just talked with each other. And I think that a lot of approaches are to push what you think and get them to want to think the same thing. And all you're going to be met with is resistance. But instead, I think that we were able to sit and speak for this amount of time, 30 minutes or so, and each kind of learn one piece that we didn't understand before. So I think that the conversations are so important.
And like with social media, you're very rarely, Ashley, would you grab that person and just shake them and say, think like I think, or believe what I believe. And I feel like that's what's happening on social media. Like we expect someone that yells at us or calls us names or shouts, that's just going to convert me to your way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of what would really work. You know, and this podcast is about real estate, but this is a life lesson. You can't do that with clients. Why would you do it with your spouse? Why would you do it with children, your friends, or even your enemies? Why would you do that? It doesn't work. Tell me a time on social media you've seen somebody go, hey, you're an idiot. What you believe is stupid. And the person goes, you're right. I'm on board with you now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. It actually does the opposite, right? Pushes them further away from you. So I'm changing because of this. And I hope that's the whole point that comes from this. I'm sad for his wife, sad for his kids, sad for the people like my son who hasn't said a word about this, but like his age that really did. They were being challenged in a way that I think we need to be challenged today. But the lesson for me is, who do I not know? Like, what do I not know about people that I'm closest to? And I care about that. So that's what I'm going to do different. So thank you for tolerating that 10 minutes. My editor will probably cut it out of the show, but this was a fun thing for me to talk about. You guys know me enough to know that sometimes I just need to talk it out. So that's what Tad just did. Vince, I know you have thoughts. I appreciate you being respectful. Lawton, I know you are too. And I love the two of you, like you're my son. Well, you are, but Vince, where you come from and what you've done for our country matters to me. And I'm sure there's another one. You've got a different perspective. You have done things in your life for our country that I have not done. So why in the world would I judge you? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
And I'll say that Ashley and I don't know if we have different opinions. If we do, that's part of why I served, is so we can have different opinions, right? That's the beauty of America to me. And sorry if this doesn't get me brought back on. I don't believe this is a red or blue thing at all. I think this is a spiritual thing, a war. So I feel personally that I'm part of my job and mission on this earth from God is to tell others about Jesus. And I think that's a good starting point for a lot of people that may feel bitterness right now or anger. Even if you don't believe the Bible happened or is real, even if you pick it up as a book with some cool stories that'll teach you some lessons, I think there's a lot of really great Buddhist and monk proverbs and things like that. And I'm not a Buddhist or a monk, right? But I can still learn from those things. So I think if we pick up our Bibles and we read in and we lean into what it actually means to be a true, kind person, that's all taught in there. And so, yeah, that's my kind of my take on it. But I love that we have differing opinions and we can still love each other for it.
Yeah. Good word. Good word. And you have a Buddhist and a monk haircut, so if you want to do that, you can.
Yeah,
You're
I can do
one
it.
step closer, dude.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you, Vince. You'll be here next week. Ashley and Lawton, you're welcome to be on here next week. We will see what happens with the Fed rate discussion, have some conversations about that next week, talk about some other things that I have on my mind. But we appreciate you, Rise Up Nation, for being here. We hope you know that we're doing this for the good of our community and for you. Lawton, thanks for sharing your experiences today. And Ashley and Vince, you guys too. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Rise Up Nation. See you next week, continuing season 7.
Thanks for the invitation, Tad. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.